Yeah. Guard, they on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Mo battle with the latest fight. Gene's got the insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy Guard3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz podcast. I know, a couple days late, normally on Monday. This week we on Wednesday. Of course, joining me, just like every week, he is the greatest co-host of all time, Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
I am doing great on a wonderful Wednesday, getting ready to talk some wrestling.
Absolutely, but before we get there, did you see Scott Steiner's son got signed as an undrafted free agent to the Titans?
I did not see that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, hey, following in the footsteps of Braun, who I believe Braun Breaker also kind of temporarily stopped in the NFL before we got him in WWE.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the first thing I wanted to ask you, Mo, there's been there's been rumors that Brock Lesnar might be done, but he also might not be done. WWE might try to bring him in for one more match at SummerSlam. My question to you, Mo, is do you think that they should bring back Brock Lesnar for a match at SummerSlam, or was Obafemi the perfect write-off at WrestleMania for the career of Lesnar?
I kind of feel like if you're of the old school mindset, then I think Obafemi was the perfect send-off. Like you know how wrestling goes. Like very few stars walk away with a win or a W. Because you're just pushing forward the next generation, the next guys. So I thought Oba would have been the perfect ending. But if they're determined to bring him back, it to me, it only makes sense if you plan on matching him up against Gunther at a pay-per-view, because Gunther is he's a legend killer. And it's no secret Brock he might have one more in him, but if it's one more, it has to make sense. And the only thing that makes sense is Gunther.
No, absolutely. I do agree with the notion, or at least I agree with the fact that I think WrestleMania is the perfect send-off. We know exactly what they do. They would try to bring him back to retire at SummerSlam, give him that big money match in his hometown.
Right.
But no, I do think that there are some moments where you get a chance to retire kind of on a perfect note. And I think for Lesnar, it's just not going to get any better than that. Like, going to get choked out in Minnesota at this point would probably be a downgrade from the ending we got at WrestleMania. So, if I were Brock, maybe I'll show up and officially announce my retirement so I can get cheers from my home crowd if they want. But I think as far as in-ring competition, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. I want to end on that.
I agree. I kind of think that the match with Obafemi was the perfect exit to a great career. Time to move on.
So it's honestly the same reason, like, people keep teasing, like, oh, The Rock and Roman Reigns. And I'm like, yeah, but I feel like The Rock should just not wrestle again. Because, like, that WrestleMania 40 that he had, I feel like it's just not going to get any better than that for him. Hey, you don't want to have that one more match and it end up being, like, Brothers of Destruction versus DX, and now that's Shawn Michaels' last match of his career. So, yeah, honestly, I know that we're going to start hearing about The Rock rumors since Roman won the title. But honestly, I kind of feel the same way about The Rock in the sense that I kind of hope he just hangs him up.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Rock's appearance at the WrestleMania a couple of years ago, I thought it was great. But it was an older Rock, and you knew that he had, and I thought it was smart that they had him in a tag team kind of thing, that he didn't have to be in the ring that long. Like, Well, he's that much older now, and I'm with you. He'll be a lesser version of what he was then. I feel like the dream match of Rock and Rome, I think that's done. I Do I think Rock could make an appearance? Could he interfere in the match? Could he impact the match? Yeah, I think he can still have an impact, but not with him actually being an in-ring performer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is an unfortunate time of year, kind of in the world of wrestling, Mo, because every time around this year we get our post WrestleMania releases. So
Yeah.
of course we had like the Wyatt Six got released, Aleister Black, that kind of caught me off guard, not gonna lie. Kyrie saying we're not gonna get a payoff to that feud. It's always unfortunate. I'm sure all these guys. I hope all these guys land on their feet. The Kyrie one really kind of caught me off guard because it really seemed like they were building to a story. Obviously, with between her and Asuka, she was on TV every week, and then all of a sudden, that was it. She's just gone. Almost make makes it harder to invest in feuds, knowing if they're going to just randomly release people mid program.
No, you make up a great point. They were building a storyline with Asuka, Kyrie, and Io. And I saw where it was going, and I'm liking it. I see where it's going. And then, like you said, they just took the air out of us by getting rid of Kyrie. I didn't understand that. And maybe I'm in the minority, but I thought they were building Aleister Black up. That's what I thought they were doing. He had been winning, and I thought they were building him up to take on one of the the U.S. belt or the Intercontinental belt, something to that effect. And they released him as well. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see that one coming either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I'm curious to see what's next. I'm sure. Say, hey, if we get another, say, Kyrie on the Indies or Stardom or wherever she decides to go, that'll be a treat to watch. That's for sure.
I'm a fan. I hope she look. I don't care if she goes to Ring of Honor, AEW, wherever she goes. I'm gonna make a point to watch because I've always been a fan.
No, that's fair enough. But say we are on the road to Backlash, Mo. We got Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns. I think that's going to be so much fun. I love the fact that that's the first feud. I think it's a perfect first feud for Roman, honestly.
I feel like the whole Jacob Roman thing is the start of something that's going to be bigger. You know what I mean? I feel like the bloodline are going to have some kind of, if you want to call it an inner family feud. I think it's the start of something like, but I think they have to have these matches to ultimately bring the whole bloodline together, right? Like we you've got all these factions, but I think that what Roman wants to do is bring everybody back under the same tent. Which, by the way, I'm all for it. I think they would be dominant, and I think that they would all that obviously they would be heels, but I don't care. It would make for great TV, great pay-per-views. I actually prefer Jacob Fatu as a heel. I prefer Roman as a heel. Because I think when you have the numbers that the bloodline have, they can't be faces. So I think that yes, Jacob will take on Roman. I don't think he's going to beat Roman, but I'm sure he will push Roman to the brink. But I feel like knowing Roman, because they're doing these promos, that eventually Roman's going to cut a promo or at least do something to the effect where he asks Jacob, like, how about this? If I win, if you win, you get the title, obviously. But if I win, you come back to the bloodline and you acknowledge me, or something to that effect.
Say no, absolutely. Say, did you catch AEW Dynamite, Mo, when MJF lost his title?
No, I did not see that.
Ooh, everybody was caught off guard. It turned out that we're expecting a pretty 15, 20-minute match between MJF and Darby, and then Darby pretty much just flat out squashed him. He had a low blow before the match, but he beat him in a actually very quick fashion, and a lot of people were kind of complaining about it. So I honestly don't mind the quick, like, say I never minded like quick finishes after pay-per-views. Like, for example, MJF just went through like a long 40-minute match with Kenny Omega.
Right.
So at least in my head, I'm like, okay, well, he's probably still very banged up from the Kenny Omega match, and
Facts.
to get hit with a low blow and then 4 finishers right off the bat, yeah, that'll probably do about anybody. And
yeah, facts. That match between him and Kenny Omega was pretty brutal. So yeah, look, if Darby Allin caught him early with a low blow and stuff, I think those kind of squash matches, when you time them right, they make sense. I regret not having seen it, but it sounds like they timed it right.
yeah, say I don't think MJF will be out of the title picture for long.
He will not. He will not.
In fact, I'd say we got AEW Double or Nothing up in New York, so I'm sure with MJF being from around the area, from New Jersey, I'm sure he'll probably just end up rematching Darby, and we get a proper match between them there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look, MJF to me is as big as any star in AEW. He doesn't have to have the belt to be a big star, but I think he's one of those kind of guys that's always going to be in the title picture.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last week on Dynamite, Max asked for a rematch, and Darby told him no unless he can offer Darby something. So I think MJF is challenging for the TNT title next week. I think they're teasing either a title unification match or a double champion Max or double champion Darby. So it'll be interesting to see where that whole storyline goes. But like I'm definitely looking forward to Double or Nothing.
So how do you feel? Like we talked a little bit about Backlash, and you have the Roman and the Jacob matchup. I guess the question I'm wondering is, I wonder what WWE's plans are with Io Sky, because they kind of blew up that storyline. It's weird because I don't know what they're going to do with her or what they're going to do with Asuka. Like, apparently, I guess because Asuka interfered in her match and helped her lose, that Io and Asuka are going to be a match at Backlash.
That would probably make the most sense. I'm imagining that she'll probably just end up hanging out with Rhea or something until they find something to do with her. But say the quick fix for right now would just have Io and Asuka at Backlash.
Yeah, and look, if you're keeping it a buck, you got to give Asuka a lot of credit, because she is pointing out something that's kind of true. She's like, well, since you and Rhea have been friends and stuff, you guys have held the tag team belts, and then you lost the belts, but Rhea's wearing the women's heavyweight championship. You ain't wearing nothing. Like if you're Io, Asuka's right. Normally, you would be Rhea's competition, but because you're buddies, you're not in competition. And obviously, Rhea's gone to SmackDown. And it seems like Io's kind of like in purgatory. There's not a whole lot going on for her.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm curious to how they will fill out the Backlash card. You know, initially we were supposed to have that tag match, but it sounds like both Pat McAfee and Jelly Roll opted out. So now we'll have to see what they're doing with Cody and Randy at pay-per-view. Well, will Cody even be ready to go for the pay-per-view? Obviously,
that's a good question.
Yeah, so his face looks really jacked up. So we'll see if he'll actually be. We'll actually see if he's able to have a match at Backlash.
I'm guessing a match we're probably going to get is Street Profits versus Division. I kind of see that coming.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing the Street Profits back. Fine, it took way too long. Finally, let's get them a tag title run going.
Right, right. And obviously, because Breaker's back in the picture, you're going to get Seth and Breaker at Backlash.
No, absolutely. I do want to ask you, Mo. Friday night we got a lot of Danhausen on the show, and some people were talking about were we getting too much Danhausen? Because obviously, you don't want to overexpose a character like that. So I guess my question to you, Mo, is how much Danhausen is too much Danhausen? Was Friday night just over excessive, or do you think that was just fine?
No, I think that was too much. I think a character like that works in short increments. But he got in Friday night, he was kind of featured a lot. And it's such an over the top character. It's a lot to take in. And you want to walk that fine line between being funny or entertaining, but you don't want to fall into the doink zone. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to get to the point where you're like doink. You have to do it smart. It's a unique character, but I thought Friday night he got way too much exposure.
No, that's fair enough. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how they end up, if they dial it back, or because I know they were talking about how he was one of the 3 highest merch sellers WrestleMania weekend. So we'll see if the money talks or if they kind of dial it back a little bit with him.
And maybe that's it, because I have to assume. Look, and I know a lot of WWE fans are kids, right? It's a real, right? So I clearly Danhausen probably has a ton of kids that like his stuff, but there's also a lot of adults that like Danhausen. I can only speak for me. I get it. He's kind of got that he's kind of like a good comic bit or whatever you want to call it. And I don't mind it, but as a wrestling fan, I only need that in little short increments. I don't need a whole lot of Danhausen.
Hey, no, that's fair enough. Did you see that Triple H signed a new contract apparently, so he's going to be the head of the creative for don't know exactly how long, but they say it could be for as long as up to 3 years.
Oh, okay. I mean, like I said, Hunter's done some good things. He's done some things I didn't agree with, but he's done some good things. I think the problem I have with WWE is not from the WWE side of it. I think that ever since they went into the partnership with TKO, I feel like TKO is more involved than they should be.
Yeah, say you got them trying to squeeze out every penny they can. You got them. Oh man, let's see. Yeah, say you got them trying to get involved in the booking decisions, getting guys like Pat McAfee in there.
That's what I mean.
Which apparently even Pat McAfee, the reason the match is not happening is because he backed out of it because he realized this was a whole bad idea.
Yeah, so TKO is more about the money, right? That's their bottom line. They just let's make a profit. I get that. But they clearly don't know the wrestling business because they want more celebrities. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if they had any control over it, TKO would have celebrities at SmackDown and Raw.
Oh yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm curious to see how curious to see how the booking is going forward. Though Triple H is an odd one because I don't know. Obviously, he's booked some really fun stuff, but at the same time, it feels like there's a lot more misses than hits with him. I don't know what it is. Okay. And it feels like a lot of his big stories that he did book and nail, they were kind of really built-in hot angles. Like we talk about the road to WrestleMania 40, and I'm like, okay, like we knocked The Rock and Roman and Punk and stuff out of the park, but at the same time, like that was always going to be a hot angle. You didn't really need to put that much effort. You didn't need to go that crazy into building it when you have minds like The Rock and everybody involved.
No,
And it's like WrestleMania 41. You already had the built-in angle of John Cena's final WrestleMania, and I guess maybe it's still the road to WrestleMania because it's felt like the first year we just didn't have this like built-in hot angle ready to go,
right.
and then we really had a rough road to WrestleMania. So, like I said, he's done some good stuff like that. Punk and Drew feud was amazing, but at the same time, I guess we'll have to see. I'm a little skeptical right now. Say when it comes to his booking right now.
And the stories that they start and that they abandon, yeah, I'm with you. They didn't know what to do with Tiffany Stratton, and so she was in limbo. But then when Julia won the belt, they didn't really know what to do with her. They didn't even use her. Like she had a championship run, but you don't even realize it because they weren't putting her in a lot of matches, and then so they decided to have her give up the belt to Tiffy, which like I said, I don't mind it. I'm just wondering what was the point of putting the belt around her to begin with if you weren't going to give her a real run.
Hey, what's good, Gene? Now that's one thing I would love to see him fix, though. Like, if anything, please let the champions actually defend their title. I get wanting to keep like the world titles off of TV and make them special. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But the mid-card titles are the ones that are supposed to be on TV being defended. And I wouldn't see those getting defended for months. Like, why aren't we defending the US and the Intercontinental title all the time on free TV? Like,
Agreed.
They're there to be the workhorse title and to be used as a stepping stone to get into the main event. So I would definitely just love for him to be more proactive with the champions. Like, sometimes I get it. You have your attraction champions you don't want on TV a lot. Your Jade Cargills, your Roman Reigns. But not everybody needs to be, I guess, an attraction champion. Like, you need some workhorse champions.
No, I 1000% agree with that. And you need to have champions that make sense. Like in the moment, because it was WrestleMania and it was such a big deal because we hadn't seen Paige in years. I was caught up in that moment and it was great. And it was even entertaining to watch Paige and the Bellas win the tag titles. But honestly, I would have had them give the titles up the next night. I would have had to give them up on Monday night. Because really, you got to figure Nia and Lash Legend, they probably should have had a longer run. Like if you put those two against just the Bellas, or I guess Paige and one of the Bellas, that probably should be a squash match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I am excited to see. I'm kind of excited to see where they go with that, but I feel like I know where we're going with that. Like watching it, like, all right, when are you kicking Paige out of the group? When are we getting the Bella's heel turn?
Because you know that's going to happen, right? I'm glad you said it. You know at some point, Paige is going to get her back kicked in, right? You know it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Completely agree, Gene. It just, that's kind of my one thing with this story, and maybe I'm wrong and they catch us off guard, but it feels like you already know where it's going. Like, all right, when are we getting the heel Bella twins back? Which honestly, they're better off as heels anyway.
Facts. Yes.
I guess we got to get there somehow.
Yeah. Let's get there a lot faster. Yeah, I'm with you. I think that obviously that's another storyline that's going to develop. Obviously, we know that Bianca Belair is going to be out of action for obvious reasons. She's with child. Congrats to her and Montez Ford. So it's just going to be another year minus the EST, which is tough, but it is what it is. But again, the women's roster is so loaded. Bianca Belair's not going to be there, but guess what? Sal Ruka just came up. I love Sal Ruka. So they don't lack for talent in the women's division at all. I mean, Sal Ruka, even if you want to take Lash Legend and just make her a solo competitor, I think she's a problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now let's make sure we feature the women on pay-per-view and not cut everybody's time so we can make room for 87 Hulk Hogan commercials.
Man, did you watch the documentary? Because they sure are pressing it. They're definitely pressing it.
I'm not even joking. WrestleMania made me never want to see that documentary in my life. I haven't watched it yet. I will eventually. It's probably very good, but holy cow, I really, really didn't want to watch it after seeing it a million times.
Just on general principle, I'm not gonna watch it. I ain't watching it. I don't need to go through the whole rigmarole of I remember his time in AEW, not AEW, but AWA, and I remember all of it. And I remember the ending. No, I'm good. I don't need a review. I'm good.
Hey, you know what? That's absolutely fair. I'm curious, Mo. Obviously, we got a dominant win from Oba at WrestleMania. Am I crazy in thinking we just crowned him as champion at SummerSlam, or is that too early? Because I feel like you just have him win King of the Ring and we get Roman Oba at SummerSlam. Let's just do it.
My only reluctance in him getting the belt this fast is that they won't give him a long run. And so if you're going to build him up to be almost Undertaker-like, then you got to give him a full Undertaker run, right? If we're going to do that. So I'm with you, but I don't want him to beat Roman and then turn around 2 pay-per-views later and lose the belt. So I need him to have like a run, a longer run. And I don't care, by the way, if during that run he has a heel turn, because when you're 6'4", 310 pounds, I don't care how you start out. At some point, you're gonna be a heel in your career.
I would say Oba just feel. I don't know. Oba. Some guys don't feel like a heel or a face. They just feels like themselves. Like Oba just feels like Oba.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like he doesn't care. He's just gonna beat up everybody regardless to get what he needs.
And to me, that is why I feel like in a lot of ways he has a similar, not the same, but a similar aura about him, like the Undertaker. I always felt like whether you viewed the Taker as a heel or a face, he was just being Taker, and Taker's best thing was just beating people up.
That's fair. Hey, Gene, that's the fun question, Mo. What WrestleMania entrance was your favorite?
Ooh. I'm thinking. What was yours, partner?
See, you know what the tough one was?
Because some of them were really good and over the top, by the way. There were no shortage of really good entrances.
I'll say because I always all the Roman entrance was super cool again.
Romans was fire. I like Romans a lot. I did. I like Romans.
Say, actually, I thought Liv's was a lot of fun. The match night have been fun, but like the whole like music video vibe.
Yeah, you know what? It had a cool vibe. She kind of looked like she was performing, even though she was kind of like singing along. But yeah, Liv's was good too. It's funny because I thought this particular WrestleMania really did. They put a lot of emphasis on the entrances. His was really good. I thought Cody's was good actually, and him coming out with the crown or the mask. I like all of that. If I had to choose, it's easy to say Oba's, even though it's just his regular interest. But it's just, you know what it is when the guy when he comes strolling down and he's kind of doing that thing where he's swinging his arms. It's catchy, right? It's catchy, right? you're at home and you're probably saying to yourself, oh, but you're doing the walk and everything. Like for style points, I think the best one is Roman Reigns. But the one that's catchy, that's entertaining, it's always Oba because it's so simple.
I was gonna say, you know what? If we include like the little like pre-match like video packages, or I really love CM Punk's again this year too. Brought back his Ring of Honor theme and did all this stuff on top of Allegiant Stadium. I thought that was really cool.
It was dope them showing his ECW days, and I mean, yes, if you put the montages together and stuff like that, I like Punk stuff a lot too. You almost forget that his time with ECW, in Japan, like he's been everywhere. He's competed everywhere. So yeah, I think Punk had a great entrance. I thought Jade Cargill's entrance was dope. I mean, she ended up losing, but her entrance was dope. I like Rhea's. There was like I said, I thought they put a lot of emphasis on the entrances. And remember, when you were watching them enter and make that long walk, like they stretched the walk out a long time, right? Didn't it seem like a long walk?
Yeah.
Like it felt like everybody was on Travis Scott time.
Oh, but it took us like 40 minutes to get from like the second to last match to the main event on night one because everybody had to walk down that ramp and they weren't moving. Like, all right, Pat's taking like 10 minutes to get down here. Randy's taking 12 because he's even slower than Pat. Cody might be the slowest of them all, even though he's probably, he's younger than Randy, but he always takes his sweet time. I'm like, oh man, we're at like 25 minutes and we're not even past the entrances yet.
Cody's like a politician, though, right? Because he got to make a slow walk. He's got to go over and interact with some fans to the left and interact with some fans to the right. Talk to a couple of friends that he recognized over there in the corner. Like, yeah, Cody takes his sweet time for sure. He soaks it all in.
Yeah, but honestly, I think my favorite entrance, I'm actually going to go with Liv's. I really like their choreographing and everything.
I enjoyed Liv's match too, by the way. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't think Stephanie Vacour didn't put on a good performance. Liv obviously just ended up winning, but I enjoyed that match.
Like I did enjoy their. I think my frustration with like a lot of those night one matches is they didn't give them any time to breathe.
They were fast.
Like,
they were fast. We talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, like genuinely, it just never got out of second gear. The match was like 7 minutes, and you're like, should have given them at least 15. Like, I'm sure we could have cut like 2 or 3 Hulk Hogan commercials. We would have been fine. I promise you.
If you can make wrestling into a fast food, that's what night one was like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was truly something else. You know what's funny, Mo? I almost thought about writing an article ranking every match, every pay-per-view match from April for WWE and AEW. So from like Dynasty and WrestleMania.
Oh, that would be good.
I thought about it. I'm still debating on it, but man, I feel like I'd come off as a homer is the problem because genuinely the list would be like Roman Punk, the entire like Dynasty card, and then like the entire WrestleMania card underneath that. I did enjoy some of the Mania matches, but they just kept cutting. Like as soon as I'm ready for this to hit the next level, the match is over. So I feel like the Dynasty like overall in-ring action just cleared, but I don't think it's the fault of the actual wrestlers for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and look, I enjoyed WrestleMania, but look, I thought if you're comparing it to Dynasty, I think Dynasty was a more entertaining show. It just was. And we didn't even really have a conversation about, well, Mo or Brett, what do you think about this particular WrestleMania? And I, in the moment, because my wife asked me, like, so did you enjoy it? Because she didn't watch it. And I said it was good. But I felt like it was good, but have I seen better WrestleManias? Absolutely. Have I seen some that weren't as good? Yes. I just it was okay. It was good, but it could have been better, right? We could agree it could have been better. Like the match one nights were super fast. I like you said, they were just getting started when they were over.
It's like the second year in a row they've done this, Mo, where, well, granted, obviously last year the night one main event was obviously terrific. But like they're seemingly like for like back-to-back years, for the most part, overall, like card and everything wise, it's like we're gonna give you a really weak night one. And then that way, even if night two is like mediocre, it looks amazing because night one wasn't great. It almost feels like this is the second year in a row they did that because, like, obviously WrestleMania 41 had the amazing triple threat, but a lot of the stuff before that was just kind of forgettable. And I think we kind of had a similar situation where night two was a lot of fun. I enjoyed night two, but was it as good as I think it was in my head, or am I just getting a mirage because night one just kind of disappointed?
Is that, and maybe that's by design. They're doing it by design, but I'm like, yo, I thought night one was all right, but they were trying really hard in night one that if the match weren't great, they're trying to give you a spectacle or a moment, right? So like in the match with the opening match with the Vision versus the Usos, the match itself was okay. I didn't think it was a great match, but they wanted to give you something, so they gave you I Show Speed, obviously jumping on top of Paul, right? And that ended up being like the best part of the whole match, right? And that was after the match. Yeah, I think night two was obviously more entertaining than night one. And you're right. I don't know how great night two was in the bigger picture because night one just wasn't that good.
I'll say, you know what? I will give credit to a couple of celebrities from the card because, we criticize the celebrities, but I feel like sometimes, we got to give celebrities credit when they come in and do a great job. Because, man, one, I think I Show Speed could have a future in the business if he wants to. He's just naturally entertaining, and I think I think he could be so in the ring, but man, he really kills it on like the facial expressions and acting around. Like he was really selling that he was in pain. So, like that, I thought he did great for it just being his first ever match. Honestly,
I think you're right. I think that it's funny because obviously his in-ring performance and those things of that nature, he probably needs to work on. But as far as the acting and playing the character or in the moment, he's already got that. He's already aced it. He's a natural. And he is incredibly athletic. So could he have a future in the business? Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he came away because of that move after the match. That was the thing that's the moment of the match that I remember. Everything else is kind of a blur. But yeah, I thought he did well. It's funny because we get so hyped for WrestleMania, and then night one comes, and night one was kind of a dud. And then night two came, and like you said, we were so hyped for night two, but I think we were hyped for night two because night one was kind of a dud.
Yeah, say when you have a roster with as deep as it is, and you're on Netflix and ESPN, so you don't actually have a time limit as to when you can end. I just sometimes don't know how that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do you need to cut all these matches so short? Like, I guess it probably more so has to do. They probably need to be out of Allegiant Stadium by a certain time.
Maybe that.
But at the same time, it's like, dude, you started early. I'm guessing that you can probably run these matches a little longer. Like, I doubt they were like, got to be out of Allegiant by 7:30. So yeah, it almost feels like that. I do like the idea of them starting earlier, but if you're gonna do that, just give the matches more time.
Look, the whole thing about WrestleMania is it's supposed to be a spectacle. It's supposed to be something way beyond the normal. There's pay-per-views throughout the year, but WrestleMania again is their pinnacle, their Super Bowl. And I've seen more than my share of great WrestleManias, and I'm not saying this is the worst one. I was just saying afterwards, definitively, it isn't the worst one, but it damn sure is not the best either. Nowhere near.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, no, that's fair. Still not the worst WrestleMania I've ever seen live, so I'll give it credit for that.
No, not at all.
I genuinely feel like the worst like WrestleMania I remember seeing live that it like for the first time ever. Whew, WrestleMania 27 was a one match show for sure. Say that was they had like Snooki and tag team action.
That's not Snooki.
John Cena versus like The Miz was the main event. The one match on that show that killed it was of course we had Undertaker, Triple H in a no holds barred. That was really good, but yeah, I'd say it was quite the spectacle to watch. Because then the next night they announced Cena and The Rock, and then it hit you because you're like, did they just make me spend $60 so I could watch WrestleMania? But in all reality, it was the build up to next year's WrestleMania.
Right.
Never seen a filler WrestleMania before, but we got it.
But look, big picture, I'm excited going forward with Backlash coming up. Because of the storylines that they're trying to put together, it'll be interesting. Like I said, the Roman Jacob thing is the thing about that is, Brett, that might not be a one match thing, right? Like Roman and Jacob, they might have to go at it a couple of times.
And you know what? I would take that. That would be a great series.
I think so, because Roman's talking about bringing the family together. Jacob's like, he don't care about the family. Jacob's just thinking about himself.
Yeah, say it. Roman's thinking about the entire family. Jacob's just thinking about his. So
yeah,
it's almost what makes that story so much fun. Like they're both thinking about family, but they're also thinking about it in two completely different ways.
Right. And Roman's trying to get into Jacob's head where, with the whole, can you carry the weight of the belt? Which I get, there is truth in those words. Not everybody can carry that weight of being pursued all the time. And Jacob's like, yo, I'm just trying to better my family. And so I think it'll be interesting. The only thing I'm concerned with is if and when Jacob loses, that they don't fade him to black. Like, tell me that he's going to be part of a bigger storyline.
Yeah,
because,
I hope so.
By the way, I do want to see him with a belt on his waist. By the way, but I don't want him to lose to Roman and just fade to black. Like if he's going to lose to Roman, then launch him into another feud or to another direct, or maybe he turns around and goes, you know what, Roman, you beat me fair and square. I'm with you. I'm going to be with you, Jay and Jimmy. And or something to that effect.
Hey, you know what, Mo? You just gave me a brilliant idea. Let's put because I'm sure I'm so sure he's not going to beat Roman. What if we give Jacob Fatu the Intercontinental Championship? Then we build up towards
Oba and Jacob.
Oba, say Femi versus Fatu at SummerSlam.
I told you should be writing for WWE. Exactly. Yes. Put that belt on Jacob, the IC belt, and build up to a Roman Femi pay-per-view match. Woo! I'm there for that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. And that's kind of where my mindset too, because I feel like you can't, like, there are some guys that are just, they're too much. You're not going to hold off their scent for long. And I can't imagine Oba's not going to be a world champion by next WrestleMania at the latest. So I'm like, well, it's a great way to kickstart Reigns versus Oba. Let's do Jacob versus Oba, and that can get him some, get maybe one or two interactions with, Fatu, and then maybe an interaction with Roman at some point if they're working together. So it could be a fun way to eventually get us towards an Oba Rumble win.
I love that though. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. Sign me up.
Did you guys mention who you think had the best entrance at Mania? I would say I honestly liked I said I personally thought Livs was a lot of fun. My favorite might have been Livs or CM Punk's if you include his little pre-match video for the second year in a row.
Yeah, when you throw in the montage, I would on that I'm going CM Punk. But Livs was fun because she kind of got to perform her song. It was catchy, it was fun. You could tell she was having fun doing it. So yeah.
Hey, that's what we were thinking. Let's have them rejoin the bloodline, and then we get Oba versus Jacob at SummerSlam, and then slow build towards Oba versus Roman for the world title at WrestleMania. I'm curious to see who they're going to put Money in the Bank on.
That's a good one. A good question.
Punk, Cody, Roman, Liv. Fair. That's fair. Everybody in the main say Punk, Cody, and Roman all had great entrances. I did enjoy. I said I'll give Cody credit. I know he didn't like the Stardust character. I know when I saw them, like when I first started seeing like the Dashing character, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if they're actually going to pull out the Stardust one, and he did it. So
he did.
I did not expect to see Stardust at WrestleMania, but
you know what?
For him.
Give him a lot of credit. He's not running away from Stardust, right? Like that. That's part of his wrestling journey, right? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird where cats start off at because you can say, oh, you don't want to talk about Stardust because it's kind of funny, but people forget back in the day when The Rock was just Rocky Maivia, that was funny too. He was corny. Rock, remember the getup that he was coming out in when he was Rocky Maivia, the outfit that he wore, like that was super corny. So I mean, they all have to go through a process, I guess, until they actually find themselves. But I mean, Cody's not the only one to go through that process.
Yeah, hey, say Drew had to do the same thing when they canned him, and he made his way back after a certain amount of time in TNA. Say sometimes it's just absolutely necessary to leave and come back.
I agree.
Say that, hey, you know what? Indies is the only time we really got to see Cody as a heel ever since he left WWE the first time, and it was a treat. I know like Dashing Cody Rhodes was a heel, but obviously since he left WWE back in like 2014, we just haven't seen it in so long that going back and watching the fun he was having on the indies doing it, I need to see it again.
I do too. The interesting part is during the match at WrestleMania, we as we watched it, there was a couple of moments where the crowd they turned against Cody, and it felt like Cody was about to have a heel turn, right? It felt that way, because somehow, some way, Randy, who's clearly the heel, they were started rooting for Randy Orton.
It was, yeah, say it almost. I almost thought we were going to get it. It almost felt very obviously different circumstances, but it's very similar situation happened when The Rock and Hogan had their match. The crowd gradually, it's like they just started cheering for Hogan and they switched roles mid-match.
Right.
And we kind of saw it again. So that was really interesting. I know they won't fully turn him heel until they find somebody who can move as much merch and replace him and all that as the top babyface. Which is why Money in the Bank, Trick Williams, just do it already. Let's get your next megastar going here.
You think Trick wins Money in the Bank? Although, because I think that's a hell of a candidate, by the way, for Money in the Bank. Trick Williams is. I like that one. There's so many great candidates for Money in the Bank. Trick Williams, Jacob Fatu, Obafemi.
Yeah, it almost feels like Trick would just kind of be a great candidate. The crowd loves him. He's so over. At the same time, like it would almost give him that. It would almost give you a. It would give you a way to kind of test run a Trick World title reign before actually pulling the trigger on it. You could have him cash in. Maybe he holds the title for like a month and drops it, but I can give you some insight on how he handles it. So it almost feels like I would just love to see it. Maybe it's too early. They think maybe they'll wait a year before they do any Trick World title or Money in the Bank, but I would love to see Trick win it this year.
Yeah, I feel like Trick's probably like a year out. I think he's going to hang around and maybe hold a couple of the mid-card belts, maybe getting a feud here and there, but I think he's a year out from being a world champion. And part of that is really because the field is so crowded. Like he's already got a belt around his waist, but my gut feeling is that Oba will be a world champion before he'll be a world champion.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. That's why I'm trying to think, like, who would be, who possibly wins Money in the Bank this year. It'll be interesting to see who they actually even put in the match, honestly.
Yeah, I was joking and I said Oba, but I don't think they would ever let Oba win Money in the Bank because that's the most frightening thing in the world, that Oba Femi could have that briefcase. You know what I mean? That's scary.
Say, before we get out of here, Bo, somebody on Twitter said they're like having a boring day, rebooked WrestleMania 18 as WrestleMania Invasion. So they booked this like dream WrestleMania card with WCW, ECW, since WWE owned them at the time.
Okay.
I think the funniest part about this card, Mo, on top of one, they have the most ridiculous stipulation on a match. But I just want to bring up two matches on this card because to me, they're hilarious. So I got a Kevin Nash and Scott Hall versus the APA versus Dudley Boys versus the Hardy Boys.
Oh, wow.
In a ladder match. And I almost died of laughter seeing that immediately. Like, you're telling me you want to put 2002 Kevin Nash in a ladder match?
I'm shocked that Nash would be in a ladder match, and the APA. They're not made for that.
Yeah,
or the Dudley Boys. I mean, obviously they're great in the tables, but everybody you named, they're all like big and powerful, other than the Hardys. But the other ones, they don't belong in ladder matches.
That's what I saw. Like I've seen one Kevin Nash ladder match, and that was one too many, honestly. The Sledgehammer ladder match from 2011 TLC. It was slow, but this dude, honestly, like the rest of the card is really fun. It's kind of fun though. Like his main event is Goldberg versus Steve Austin. We do got Hogan versus The Rock. We got Sting versus Taker. Jericho versus DDP. Ric Flair, Triple H.
Oh, I want to see that. Jericho versus DDP. Wow, that's a good one.
Say Booker T versus Benoit. Gold Dust.
That's a good one.
Gold Dust versus William Regal.
Don't sleep on William Regal.
Edge and Christian versus Eddie Guerrero and Rhino. Honestly, better candidates for a ladder match than the APA and 2002 Kevin Nash.
Agreed.
Your opening match is Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio. But the match that maybe should be the main event because it's the most ridiculous thing ever. We got Rob Van Dam, Sabu, Tajiri, Terry Funk, and the Sandman versus Albert Kane, Rikishi, Test, and the Big Show. I don't know why we're getting all these people together, but there's a stipulation to this match, Mo. This guy said the stipulation is no DQ, elimination rules. If Team ECW wins, Kane must unmask. If Team WWF wins, Terry Funk will be lit on fire.
What?
And I'm like, excuse me?
What?
And the part that got me as I thought about it, I'm like, I know exactly how Vince would book this match. He'd have Kane unmasked, and then Kane would just light Terry Funk on fire anyway.
100%. He's getting lit on fire. You know Vince McMahon too well, partner. That exactly is how that plays out. Kane unmasked, and he still lights Terry Funk on fire.
I don't know why that just made me laugh so hard. I think it's just because I genuinely wasn't expecting this dude. Because I was like, this seems like a fun card. And then I see and Terry Funk's getting lit on fire pretty much like, okay, I really didn't expect that one. But honestly, honestly, he would pull it off so well. Terry Funk was just so underrated at times. He could do everything so well that
He could sell stuff really good. Really good.
I loved his work when in ECW when he would come out, and honestly, first thing I would try to figure out is like, Terry, are you sober or not? But he was always so good at just getting you to believe and buy into everything that he does. But that being said, Mo, that's all I had for us today. Anything you want to add before we get on out of here?
No, I had a blast. It's been a minute, so it's always fun whenever we can do Meaty Boyz, talk some wrestling, keep everybody updated on what's going on with Backlash so far and everything with AEW. So yeah, it was a blast. Thank you, chat, so much. Good looking out, Gene, for hopping in for a second. And yeah, partner, it's always a blast chopping it up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously tonight at 6 p.m. Central, catch Wire to Wire. So they are always loaded with a great show on there. And then 9 p.m. tonight, Central Time, podcast name deferred. So, and then of course you can catch Mo and I back here tomorrow, probably around 6:15ish. After On the Ball podcast ends, we're gonna absolutely roll right into and one, so we can do a watch along of Knicks versus Hawks. So, just a little bit of fun housekeeping. But that being said, we thank you for tuning in and hope you enjoyed the rest